Shabbat Shalom and welcome. Those of us who are here tonight just enjoyed a delicious potluck, and we're all saying how full we feel. But it was great being able to have informal conversation before we welcome Shabbat. It's been a while since we've done potlucks, and it's also been a while since we've done group services. So I feel so fortunate to have these beautiful women up here tonight joining me as we bring in Shabbat. We'll begin on page 10 with Hine Matov. Hine Matov right below that with Maya Fei Hayom. Maya Fei Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fei Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. How lovely today is Shabbat Shalom. And continuing on page 3. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. This week's Torah portion is Naso 1 from Numbers. Basically in it, a census of the Gershonites, the Merarites, Kohathites between the ages of 30 and 50 is conducted, and their duties in the tabernacle are detailed. Also, God speaks to Moses concerning what to do with ritually unclean people, repentant individuals, and those who are suspected of adultery. But tonight, we're celebrating Shavuot, so we're going to focus on this holiday and share some lovely poems with you. And in the spirit of study, maybe share some new information with you. Shavuot is the Hebrew word for weeks. and the holiday occurs 7 weeks after Passover. Originally, it was a wheat harvest festival, but it is also a celebration of receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai. It's a time to welcome the spring season, to learn Torah, and to choose to participate actively in a Jewish life. There are some traditions that go along with this holiday. All-night learning, or Tikkun Leil Shavuot. It is traditional for Jewish people to stay up all night studying Torah on Shavuot. Don't worry, we're not going to keep you here all night. It is customary to eat dairy. In the words of Rabbi Lauren, quote, 75% of Jewish people are lactose intolerant, so why eat cheesecake? Turns out there are several opinions, including, one, the Jewish people were just given the Torah, and since the Torah is like honey and milk under your tongue, we eat dairy. Another opinion is the mystical reason. The gematria value of the Hebrew word for milk, halav, is 40. Moses spent 40 days on Mount Sinai, so we eat dairy in honor of those 40 days. Also, the Torah was given to the Jewish people on Shabbat, and it included new laws of kashrut and animal slaughter. Since it was Shabbat, the Jewish people could not make their pots kosher to prepare meat, hence dairy. On Shavuot, we also read the book of Ruth. It's read because of the many parallel connections, the theme of Hesed, kindness, the Torah being open to all, the wheat harvest, and the choice and commitment to participate in a Jewish life.
The First Fruits, a poem for Shavuot, by Rachel Barenblatt, the Velveteen Rabbit. Rabbi Barenblatt says that her inspiration for this poem was, in the days of the temple, we brought the first fruits of the harvest as offerings to God on Shavuot. Today, our harvest may be more metaphorical. The fruits of my hands, bright origami cranes, minced garlic, and chiffonated kale, clean t-shirts folded. The fruits of my heart, poems of yearning and ache, text messages that say, I love you, in 100 different ways. The fruits of my mind, sentences and paragraphs, eloquence and argument, new ideas, casting bright sparks. The fruits of my soul, the harmony that makes the chord, prayer with my eyes closed tight, in-breath of tearful wonder. I offer the first of these, the best of these, and my smudged, imperfect hands from my holy, imperfect heart. I have been in tight places. I've cried out, and you heard me. Now I stand on the cusps of flow and abundance. I give you these first fruits, not because they're enough, but because I want to draw near to you now and always.
Please turn to page 20, please, for the Lecha Dodi. Oh, and so the first two verses, and then the last verse, and we face the door at the last verse. We all know that, right?
Nation
22. Or maybe we're already there, no. For a psalm, a song for Shabbat. And let's see, join me responsively. I'll do the first three, then you, then how about that? Okay. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together.
You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai. How very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this.
The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in the courts of our God.
In old age, they still produce fruit.
They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock, in whom there is no wrong.
And now on page 24, for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malakei HaSharei, Malakei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malakei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'odem l'shalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Elyon. Mi-Melech, Malakei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avoni l'shalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Elyon. Mi-Melech, Malakei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zechem l'shalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Elyon. Mi-Melech, Malakei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please turn to page 26. Hatzi Kaddish. Should we all do it all together? Okay. Yikadav v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yom yad yivrachute, v'yom lich malchute, v'chayehonu v'yomecho, u'chayeta kol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, uvizman kariv, v'meru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam omed omaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yipar, v'yipraman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha brichu, le'elam mikol birkata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dami ram yamar, v'meru amen. Oh, please turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu. And please rise. I'm sorry, if you can. If you can, okay. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Please turn to page 30. For the Ma'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alerts the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai is your name. Ever-loving God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Also, page 32, please. And that's Ahavat Olam. And we can say this together. Ahavat Olam.
Everlasting. You offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot,
Laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Days and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohel Amo Israel.
Now we're on page 34 for the Baruch Hu. Oh, I'm sorry, Shema, I'm sorry. Flip over to page 37, no, 36, sorry, 36. You can please join me. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levacha u'b'kol nafshecha u'b'kol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anoki mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'meitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech u'shofecha u'chumecha u'shartam le'od al yedecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. I never know if we keep going on that sometimes.
We don't. Sometimes the
okay.
students do.
Okay.
We're going to read the English version of this, but on page 37 rather than the bottom of 36. And please read with me. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you're tired or you're rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God.
And we're on page 40 for Mika Moka. And please turn to page 44 and please stand for Vishamru. That's right. Good dance, Theresa.
Because this brings us to the Amidah, our standing silent prayer. And it's your opportunity to communicate with God by reading the words of the Siddur or speaking the words of your heart, or both. So please turn to page 46, and we'll begin with the Tefillah, Adonai Sifatai Tiftak. Oh, and then we'll continue, and then beginning on page 48, we'll read silently through page 62.
Open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. This is another of the poems related to the book of Ruth. And I feel particularly fortunate that I was given this because I'm a convert. And the book of Ruth speaks about a woman who chooses to be Jewish. Ruth Speaks to Naomi by Tanya Runyon. And then there's a quote from Ruth 1:16. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Really, there's not much to love in this world. Maybe sparrows, children laughing in the morning. But your God forgive me, if I knew I had to sleep forever tonight, my tired heart would survive it. We are widows now, the shriveled leaves that blow along the rooftops. We're worth nothing but the measure of loneliness we can remove from each other. Of course, I must follow you, Naomi, from Moab to Bethlehem, to the musty corner of our home, where we will boil the grain and sweep the dirt, comb each other's hair in the evening, and feel the coarse curls fall between our fingers.
So good Shabbos, everyone. Thank you, Leslie, for putting together this beautiful service for the women of COT. Thank you all for being here to join us. So tonight I'm going to share with you a little drosh that I found by Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. And I kind of found it really interesting, so I wanted to share it. So it's called Tuning into the Sinai Frequency. Was God's revelation a thing of the past, or is it a voice speaking to us today? Mosquito tone is a 17 kilohertz sine wave that teenagers use on their cell phones to alert them when they've got a text message so teachers can't hear it. Who knew? Studies say that most adults can't hear much above the 13 to 14 kilohertz range, but teenagers can. Our ability to hear high frequencies falls as we age. So this rabbi says, I found the mosquito tone online and played it. I heard nothing, but my kids in the other room started screaming. What is that? Turn it off. Adults have now struck back using the teenagers' technology against them. Inventor Howard Stapleton has created the mosquito teen repellent. I kid you not. He says only a few people over age 30 can hear the mosquito's sound. Stores and parks in England and Japan, Theresa, tell me if it's true, have begun to use it to keep teenagers from loitering. The repellent continually plays a high frequency. Adults can only hear it, and teenagers can't stand it. Adults can't hear it, and teenagers can't stand it. So the most seminal moment in human history occurred when God addressed millions of people at Mount Sinai in an act of supreme revelation. Indeed, this moment was unprecedented, unparalleled, and unrepeated. The Torah says, "These words that God spoke to all of your assembly in the mountain, out of the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the thick darkness, with a great voice which was not heard again, Velo Yasaf." And that's from Deuteronomy 5:19. The simple meaning of the words Velo Yasaf was, as explained by the Ibn Ezra and other commentaries, is that the voice and experience were not to be repeated. This was a one-time only deal, an exceptional transcendent moment in human history, never to be replicated. On the one hand, the uniqueness of this event is significant and special. We eternally reflect back and recognize that the moment is immutable and unique, distinct and singular. On the other hand, its uniqueness forces us to consider the fact that no matter how we live and whatever choices we may make, we can never experience revelation like Mount Sinai again. This generates a sense of disenfranchisement and deflates our spiritual ambition. If God only spoke once and we missed it, how do we connect today? How do we access the affirmation that only God's voice can provide as to his existence and our charge in the world? Commentators were troubled by this dilemma and offer another layer of interpretation of the phrase Velo Yasaf. Onkelos, the famous convert who lived in the period of the Tanaim from 35 to 120, translates Velo Yasaf not as never repeated, but rather as Velo Pisak, God's voice never ended or ceased. The Rambam brings a few sentences as evidence that the Hebrew root Yod Samach Fe can mean never stops. According to this interpretation, God spoke at Sinai thousands of years ago, and his voice and message continued to carry until today and beyond. Do we view the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai as part of the past, or does God's voice speak to us today? The choice is yours. So which is it? Does Velo Yasaf mean God's voice never repeated, or does it mean God's voice never ceased? I believe the answer is up to each and every one of us. We have a critical choice to make. Do we view the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai as part of the past, an historical event and previous occurrence, or does God's voice speak to us today? Each year on Shavuot, we recall the Sinai experience and challenge ourselves with the question of which interpretation best reflects our life. Are we going to choose the reading that says the voice of God is no longer heard, or are we going to continue to listen carefully for the reverberation of God's message in our lives? Are the events of Mount Sinai representative of an ongoing, developing relationship with God, or are they an isolated event? In truth, God's voice is all around us. Like the mosquito tone, a frequency is plain. The only question is if we can hear it. Each time we open a book and challenge ourselves by learning Torah, expanding and broadening our wisdom, understanding and insight, God's voice is reverberating. Each prayer in which we are not only physically present, but spiritually invested, God's voice is reverberating. Each magnificent sunrise or sunset that we pause to take in, God's voice is reverberating. Each act of kindness we share with each other, God's voice is reverberating. There is no doubt that God's great and mighty voice is all around us. Shavuot demands us to consider, are we tuned in to the Sinai frequency, or do we simply go through the motions and view God's voice as something of the past? The choice is yours to make. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Lovely, Sharon.
You'll start and then Arlene and then.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
Don't thank me, thank Rabbi.
So now we're going to read from a different thing. It's called The Book of Ruth and Naomi by Marge Piercy. Some of you may know her. When you pick up the Tanakh and read the Book of Ruth, it is a shock how little it resembles memory. It's concerned with inheritance, lands, men's names, how women must wiggle and wobble to live. Yet women have kept it dear, for the beloved elder who cherished Ruth, more friend than daughter. Daughters leave. Ruth brought even the baby she made with Boaz home as a gift.
Where you go, I will go too. Your people shall be my people. I will be a Jew for you. For what is yours, I will love as I love you, O Naomi, my mother, my sister, my heart. Show me a woman who does not dream, a double, a heart's twin, a sister of the mind, in whose ear she can whisper, whose hair she can braid as her life twists its pleasure and pain and shame.
I don't want this microphone to be lonely. Show me a woman who does not hide in the socket of bone that deep eye-beam of fiercely gentle love she had once from mother, daughter, sister. Once, like a warm moon, that radiance aligned the tides of her blood into potent order. At the season of first fruits, we recall two travelers, co-conspirators, scavengers, making do with leftovers and mill ends, whose friendship was stronger than fear, stronger than hunger, who walked together, the road of shards, hands joined.
Beautiful. This brings us to our words of healing. I'm afraid our list gets longer every week. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless these members of our community. Michael Aroner, Catherine Adele Celentano, Robin Cohen, Diane Chesler, Marty Glenn, Diana Heller, Dan Hilker, John William Hillebrecht, Delia Horowitz, Asher Khan, Jeffrey Kern, Panina Kolakant, Barbara Kurtzman, Chip Kurtzman, Kit Levine, Wendy Laris, Ava Margalite, Jan Merritt, Sharon Maslow, Rick Moss, Sandy Oblonsky, Dave Podolsky, Sylvia Ramsdell, Frida Russell, Margaret Schmidt, Elliot Schwartz, Cheryl Shelleb, John Sitters, Elizabeth Spencer, Aaron Steck, William Vennett, Ellen Weingarten. And please feel free to say the names of those that you'd like us to hold dear tonight. Send them all comfort and relief speedily in our days, and grant them a complete healing of body, mind, and spirit. Blessed are you, source of life, who helps us to bring light where there is darkness and healing where there is brokenness. And you'll find the words to the Mishaberach on page 253. I'm sorry, I didn't look here for names. Mishaberach avotenu mekor habraha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And continuing with the Aleinu, which begins on page 282, please rise if you're able. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tei v'dula v'yetzer breshit, shelo asonim v'yei ha'azot, v'lo samanu k'mishlachot adama, shelo aleinu ha'em, v'gor aleinu k'chol mamona, v'anachnu korim, u'mishkavavim u'modim, lifnei melech chofei hamalchim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz, v'shavim v'shamayim imam, u'shrin ha'tuzot, ve'govei ve'romim, Eloheinu Eilon, Emek Malkeinu Efesulatot, Kakatu V'Toratot, Ve'Adayot, Ve'Hashevatot, Elevarecha, Yadonai Ve'Elohim V'Shamayim Imamo, Ve'Yahom HaOretz Mitachat Einav. V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, Melech al kol haaretz, V'yom hahu, Yihei Adonai echad, U'Shema, U'Shema, U'Shema echad. And please be seated.
No. Oh, you're going to do announcements?
We just have a couple birthdays this week. Eva Aladef, and Mike Mogul, and no anniversaries. Cindy, as always, thank you. Kara, thank you so much for being here. Sharon, thanks for the great words of wisdom. And Theresa, Grenda, Linda, and Arlene, thank you so much for being on the Bema tonight with us.
Thank you for arranging that.
So, this Shabbat, we remember Lou Gans, grandfather of Jackie Ramsdell, Arturo Robles, father of Dave Robles, and we remember Evelyn Gross, mother of Naomi Blakely, who passed away this month. And we take into our hearts all of those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. Naomi, did you?
I think the
What?
first, I mean, you feel free to. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you light a candle at home for 7 days. Thank you, Naomi. And if you'll all please rise, we'll continue with the Kaddish Yatom on page 294. Yitkadav v'yikadash shemei rabbah,
Bialma divra hirutei, Bialmik malhukte, Bahayehon uvyomehon, Uhayat Halal, Shemeda Kudashah, Brihu,
Le'ela Mikol
Birhata, Vashirata, Tushvahata, Vinehamata, Damir Ram, Yama, Vimaru, Amen. Yehi Shlema Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Hayim Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael, Vimaru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Ben Ramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael, Vimaru, Amen.
You may be seated.
And we'll just close tonight with a little song in honor of Shavuot.
Connected to Leslie and iPhone and your boss's iPhone.
So wake up your chavrusas. This is no time for excuses.
Anything to help you focus, it's alright.
Cause there's really no machlokes.
Stay up all night. Hold on to your stander. We can't possibly surrender.
Cause you know it is Shavuos. That's right. And the only thing to do is
Stay up all night.
Cause you know it is Shavuos. That's right.
And the only thing to do is stay up all night.
Gonna stay up all.
Gonna stay up, oh, we're gonna stay up all night.